Hi guys, Colonel Matt here again. Now you might think because of my last video that all I like to do is play with guns, but that's not true. I also like to play with model trains. And me and some friends are going about putting together a model train layout. So here's a first video in a series of what we're doing to put together a train layout in one of our basements. The first step is preparing the room. Now for us, what that means is that we started by pulling down the old plaster ceiling. We decided that it was no good and it had to go. Then, after the ceiling was down, we could then properly wire everything we needed to. One of the most important things you can do when you're preparing something like this, or any work, is to have it properly wired. You don't want to start a fire. That would be bad. So after the ceiling came down and we could start wiring anything we needed to, the next step was to put up a wall. Now, we're in a basement, so we've got a good concrete wall here, and it's not exactly easy to get your layout up and have to do painting on a surface like that. So we decided that we were going to put up a 2x2 wall against the concrete. Now why a 2x2 instead of a 2x4? We could take a single 2x4, rip it in half, and get twice the mileage out of the wood. So, after that was in place, we could add our electrical outlets and space them around the layout. This gives us much needed power to run it. As you can see, not done yet. We have about 2/3 to 3/4 of the wall up. Now also, because we're in a basement, we decided that it'd be good to add some insulation. Now this particular insulation would be adequate for a 2x4 wall rather than the 2x2 wall, but it will compress up. We'll lose some of the insulation value, but it's better than anything we had so far. Another important thing was to get good lighting. Initially, we had 3 sets of fluorescent lighting. These were 90 degrees from how they're angled now, as was this one over here. To improve our lighting, we added to each side of the room 4 of these large fluorescent housings. 4 bulbs each, to give us some good lighting in this area of the room. We'll have more lighting to come up later, particularly some spot lighting up in here, probably recessed to allow for the furthest section over of the layout. And we'll put some track lighting in between the 2 sets of fluorescent housings, so that we can easily point it at different parts of the layout that we'd like. After the insulation's up, the wall comes all the way around to our piping over here. That's our first stop point for the wall. And we build a box around our obstructions. We will finish our insulation to help warm things up a little bit. Then we will drywall. The drywall will give us a nice surface to paint any sort of scenery or backdrop, and it'll make things a lot nicer looking. It'll reflect light a lot better than a painted concrete wall should. Once the drywall's up and it's painted, the ceiling lights will have to temporarily be moved around, as we'll be installing a drop ceiling. With the drop ceiling, the lights will sit in a bracket rather than, as they are right now, temporarily fixed up there. So they'll be suspended in the drop ceiling, and from the drop ceiling we can mount our wonderful track lighting. At that point, we'll be able to start building the layout. We're not terribly concerned with the floor. Regular basement floor. With most of this being a layout, we don't know that it's exactly worth throwing down any sort of tile or carpeting if we're going to cover it all up. So that's what we have for now, and we will hopefully bring you some more.